We got to do some ads in the Beacon. Oh, do we? Okay.
Yes, and usually the MP for the area gets a page for a very cheap price. Like
Almost free.
too cheap.
Like it's almost free.
Too cheap. You gotta be close, they can't hear you.
I'm coming right over by you, my timer.
The crank. Nope,
Nope.
okay.
Just I can powder on my head.
She's already picked one. Yeah, and I've already welcomed her and met her. I think she's right beside Darren.
Pleasure to meet you, sir.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
nice to
that's
meet
the
you.
purple- No. Nice to meet you.
Well, I followed directions.
Yes, I see that.
Are you gonna?
All right, if everyone could take their seats, we're going to start now. Just let them take their seats.
Well, that's a bit buzzy. Good evening, everyone. My name is John Halliwell, and I'm the priest here in this building. And I can tell you right now that however many years ago, 33 years ago, when I was a politics student in university, I wouldn't have imagined that I would be the priest opening this event. I would have had a different agenda on my mind. It's a great honor to welcome you all here this evening. It's a very important evening. If time in this evening things get so exciting that you need to use the washrooms, they're on that side at the in the foyer, on that side as you go out into the foyer. There's also, as you will have seen coming in tonight, there's cookies and a coffee. If you can discreetly, if you want to avail yourself of that during the evening, feel free, if you can do that without too much disruption to other people. We did consider popcorn, but we feel that actually that might not be the right tenor for the evening. And having said that, I want to start this way. A priest and a politician walked into a bar. The bartender said, "This feels like a setup, but I should ask who's paying." The politician said, "It depends." The bartender says, "On what?" The priest says, "On whether you want my sermon or his manifesto." Bartender sighs and says, "I guess it's on the house." Every election is consequential because we're selecting a representative who will make decisions about situations, some of which we know about and some of which have not yet arisen. Surely COVID taught us something about that. And they are by definition unforeseen. And sometimes these issues do not fall neatly into our presumptions about public life and where people might stand on particular situations. So we're currently facing situations almost unimaginable in our world 6 to 9 months ago. So this does indeed seem to be the most consequential election that we have experienced in recent times. So tonight, listening is important. I say that every Sunday, actually, but listening is important, of course, to policy, but also to character. Often in life we see and hear exactly what we want and expect to see and hear, but that's not always an accurate perspective. So as I often pray in this church for everyone, I personally hope for you this evening that you all have eyes to see and ears to hear. May you all be blessed and have a good evening.
Thank you very much, Reverend. So my name is Gail Harzma, and I would like to formally welcome you to this Meet the Candidates meeting for the Dartmouth Cole Harbour riding. I'm the managing editor of The Beacon, and Mel Zilkowski is the president of the Eastern Passage and Area Business Association, and we are the ones that put on this event this evening. So we thank you very much for coming. It is an important event to get to know our candidates. We also have John Olfert, who is a Beacon volunteer, timekeeping for the evening. The other thing you should be aware of is we do have some journalism students here, and they will be taking notes and filming and taking photographs, and it's all part of their program, and it will give them an opportunity to be able to air some of this on the night of the election, I believe. So we have some other people from the Beacon here taking notes. We too will cover, and you will be able to see some of the results of this evening on Friends of the Beacon. We have our editor-in-chief over here, Kathy Stevenson, and Bruce Hampson, who's also a volunteer with the Beacon, and our secretary. And I know there's lots of people from, from EPABA, but anyway, we're getting off track. All right, so I'm going to talk about the format for this evening. Because not all candidates agreed to participate, we have structured the evening in a particular format so that we have questions that we have developed based on a survey that we did of residents. And we will be then asking the candidates to answer those questions. So each candidate will have an opportunity to introduce themselves. They will then, we will ask questions, and each one will have an opportunity to respond. So that's kind of the way it's been set up. We have kept to the priorities that we heard from you as residents from that poll, and we have based our questions on that. So some of the areas that we're going to cover are leadership, cost of living, housing, sovereignty, taxes, healthcare. Not many surprises there. We did get some in the others specify that were interesting questions as well around human rights and around women's rights, but they were very small numbers, but still, those were also things that you as residents raised as important issues facing us here in our riding. So interesting, and veterans, Indigenous water issues, things like that. There was a list. If you go on Friends of the Beacon, you'll see the entire list. All right, so the evening will proceed as follows. Candidates will have 2 minutes each to introduce themselves. A series of questions will be asked, to which the candidates also have 2 minutes to respond. Then they will provide closing statements, and then they'll be available to chit-chat and answer any of your specific personal questions one-on-one for the last about half hour of the evening. We will be sharing questions, Mel and I, and that's how we're going to proceed. So we've selected an order for introductions, and it's alphabetic. It's not any other grand way of doing this. So Darren, you're going to be the first person to introduce yourself as you go.
All right, thank you so much. I want to take a second to thank the Eastern Passage and Area Business Association, the Friends of the Beacon, for putting on this event. I heard about your municipal event, and I heard it was wonderful. I heard it was one of the best ones that was put on, so congratulations to you for that. If you've got a business in the area, join this business association and start working with them right away. My name is Darren Fisher, and I was born and raised in Dartmouth. I raised 2 children, 24 and 21, with my wife, Ann Fisher, and our beautiful 13-year-old resting uncomfortably home Wheaton Terrier tonight, who I would be snuggling with tonight if I wasn't here. He's not doing so well, and it's not easy when your pet, who is just like a family member or is a family member, is not doing so well. I've had the absolute privilege of representing Dartmouth Cole Harbour for the last 9 years and a bit. It's been an incredible, incredible honor to represent the people of Dartmouth Cole Harbour, and I can't tell you how happy I am that Eastern Passage and Cow Bay is being brought into Dartmouth Cole Harbour rather than being in Bedford, Sackville, Fall River, Chesapeake. It just feels more natural to me. I've always felt that Eastern Passage and Cow Bay was certainly more aligned with Dartmouth Cole Harbour than it was with those other areas. So I'm looking very forward to. This will make Dartmouth Cole Harbour the largest, most populous riding in Atlantic Canada, with somewhere around 130,000 constituents, up from 104,000 in the 2015 election. So the area is growing, It's a wonderful, wonderful area, and it's been a wonderful honor to represent the community of Dartmouth Cole Harbour, and I so look forward to representing the people of Dartmouth Cole Harbour, of Eastern Passage and Cow Bay. That was fast.
How many minutes is that?
2 minutes, like 2 minutes. Well done.
Michelle, you're up next.
Thank you very much, and thank you for everyone attending this evening and being part of the political process. My name is Michelle Lindsay, and I am the People's Party of Canada candidate for Dartmouth Cole Harbour. And a little bit about my background. I am a mother, I am a business owner, I am a wilderness remote first responder, I have 3 children, and I am the Vice President of the Cole Harbour and Area Business Association, and I was the President of the Metro Business Association. And so I have a lot of information coming from small businesses about certain things that are happening within our society right now due to government policy. Why I chose the People's Party? Because it aligns with my values. And why Maxime Bernier started the People's Party? Well, first of all, he was a minister under the Harper administration. He was the Minister of Economic Development and Minister of Foreign Affairs. And while he was there, he realized that there were problems within the party politics. And he decided that after he did lose the leadership run to Andrew Scheer, he decided about 15 months in that they weren't going to take some of the policies that were actually great policies to improve our Canadian economy and improve our prosperity for people, that he decided to start his own party, and therefore he founded the People's Party, because he found that the Conservatives weren't bold enough in their policies, and they really needed to be more bold and more accurate in what they were going to do for the people of Canada, such as take down the interprovincial trade barriers so that we could actually have commerce flowing throughout the Canadian Confederation, and also natural resource development, and really push for pipeline development as well. And also look at the numbers of immigration and reform that number so that we could actually put Canadians first and have them get the jobs and then fill the jobs with skilled workers later on. But we're seeing an affordability crisis right now. We're seeing high income tax, we're seeing a bloated government, and you know what? We want people to prosper in Canada, and so we do want to reduce the size of government, and we want to ensure that our economy is prosperous for all.
Ms.
Thank
Lindsay,
you.
I'm sorry, time?
Yeah, Keith, you're next.
Oh, sorry. Hi there, I'm Keith Morrison. I live in Eastern Passage, just around the corner. Thought about walking here tonight, but I didn't. I'm a lifelong community volunteer. I served 9 years in the Canadian Navy, 5 years in the classroom. In Eastern Passage alone, I'm involved with the Lions Club. I'm also involved with Passage Players, and I do some side work helping some of my fellow vets with their paperwork and other administrative things. Throughout my life, I've worn many hats: theater, film. I've been on boards for downtown development, community development, and different advocacy boards as well. For me, this race is all about community and family, building them, strengthening them, taking care of them, making sure that everyone can thrive. We are in unprecedented times. We are in very worrisome times, and I truly believe, as does the NDP, that if we band together, we are strongest. Lisa Roberts over the other side running for the NDP says we're all better off when we're all better off, and I truly believe that. We can tackle affordability. I have a certain personal passion in attacking the homeless crisis and providing active, accessible representation for everyone here in Dartmouth Cole Harbour. Thank you.
Thanks, Keith. And Zaina?
Good evening, everyone.
Arena, sorry.
It's Rana, like Donna, like the
Oh,
dog.
lovely. It's Rana Zaman?
Yes, like she's a man.
We're good.
Bernadette.
Welcome.
Thank you so much to the organizers and to all of you for taking the time to be here. It means you are invested in the government and the people, in this case, who will be your representative. My name is Rana Zaman. I grew up here. I moved from Halifax when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and the rest of my life has been in the Dartmouth, Cole Harbour area, shifting around. And I'm going to say shifting around depending on where my economics was taking me. So I know what it is to struggle from one end to the other. I know we are a very diverse group of people. We are a group of people that are haves and have-nots and are literally struggling. Some of us are struggling, some of us are very blessed. I feel blessed to be here. I am a community volunteer. I am a social advocate. And for years and years, I am actually working with the homeless. I am working with those in need. And I am seeing more and more of us are coming to that level where we are now worried about our futures. Who here is not worried about their futures? And if not theirs, because we think, okay, you know, I've lived my life, what about our children? What about our grandchildren? And it starts from the very basic necessities of life. Life that I consider human rights. I am also a human rights advocate. And basics to me are food, shelter, security, the ability to live without fear. And all of those are in jeopardy right now, every single one of those, unfortunately. And our system has been deteriorating because of the way our political process is set up. The day you have to decide to choose between two evils, the best of two evils, is the day you realize your politics have failed. There should never be a choice of the best of two evils. Your voice and your votes should count equally and be able to be heard and not forced to choose one or the other. I am hoping you want a voice. And the gentleman who did the introduction said, this is about character.
Time.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. We do have one other candidate that we were aware of and corresponded with yesterday, and his name is Joseph Shea. He's the candidate for the Libertarian Party. So what we're going to do is we didn't send him any material beforehand. He's not prepared. And so rather than put him on the spot, we're going to let him listen to the questions, and then at the end we'll give him an opportunity to introduce himself and whatever points he'd like to make at that point. So thank you for being flexible with us, and sorry, like, you know, this a whole election, as we were talking earlier, is a race from the beginning to the end. So thank you for being so accommodating for us. All right, Mel, it's over to you.
Thank you. We will now move on to the question portion of the evening. So Gail and I will ask questions to which each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond. John will time management, and he'll also mix up the order so everyone has a chance to go first and last. So the first question, leadership versus policy. This question has 3 parts, and we would like the candidates to cover in their 2 minutes. What is this election about, and why are you the best candidate for this riding? What qualities do you possess to champion our local issues with Ottawa? Why is your party the best positioned to advance Canada's standing economically and socially in these challenging times?
Order for this question, we'll start with Mr. Morrison and then proceed to Ms. Zaman and on to the right.
This election is about, it's pretty basic, the future of Canada, both internationally and within our own borders. It is about taking care of each other. It is about helping each other in difficult times. Right now, with the situation from the United States, we were already somewhat burdened, but with what's going on with tariffs, we are equally burdened right now. What we need to do going forward is to come up with systems to help those who have already needed help and to help those who are going to be needing help in the next few months, years, however long it takes. There are many ways we can do that, and many of them will come up throughout the evening, I'm sure. Why am I the best candidate here? if you're from the Passage, well, I live here. If you're not from the Passage, I have always been a bridge builder. I have always been someone who can bring people together regardless of their beliefs. And I'm excellent in a negotiation, both personally and professionally, as a mediator between people. And that is what's needed going forward in this country. We are a divided country. We might like to look down south and say they're divided, but we are divided and perhaps splintered in more ways. I have lived my life negotiating and bringing people together. I'm also, regarding our party has a proven track record of helping people who need it the most. Not those at the top of the chain, not doing tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires. We are the ones who have always helped those who are dealing with poverty.
Time.
Okay, thank you.
All right, leadership versus policy. With what is happening internationally and right across our border has actually put us in a state of fear. Many of us, we don't know what's going to happen with the Trump doing things Trump ways. It's okay, sorry. Can I just start again, please?
Sure, absolutely.
I'm not good at reading off papers. I have to speak from my heart, okay? And my heart says we are in a dire situation. Our futures are in a dire situation. I'm a mother of 3, and I'm telling you, I'm afraid. My son, fully educated, had to ask for rent, for food. And the policies and the leadership, the policies they're setting are not benefiting the average Canadian. I'm so sorry. Our quality of life is not improving. It's deteriorating. Our leadership is not answering to us in any way, shape, or form. Because if they did, we would not be in the state we're in, and we would definitely not be divided. Why are we as Canadians divided? Why is our electoral boundaries dividing us? Why is it our provincial lines are dividing us? When all our circumstances are uniting us. And I get very emotional and passionate because I am sick and tired of this type of leadership and policies that divide us, turn us from one party to the other. We should not become a people of parties. We should be a people of Canada, period. And as Canadians, we need to stand together to hold accountable the leadership that is not listening to our voices. They're not upholding international laws and policies and human rights that we signed up for. They are even afraid to say, calling a genocide a genocide. Where is the strength and courage when we are Thank you.
Michelle?
Thank you, Rhonda. Going door to door, you see the fear on people's faces. People from the ages of 18 to 77 have an issue. And I ask them, what are your issues? And they say, affordability. I don't know if I can buy my groceries next week. I don't know if I can heat my house. I don't know if I can pay my rent. And, we're concerned about tariffs, retaliatory tariffs that Mark Carney has put in against U.S. goods. But why weren't we concerned about carbon tax and pricing energy? When you have reliable energy that is inexpensive, your standard of living goes up. That's a fact. And when we have Canadian policy that is keeping our oil and our gas in our ground, when we could actually be flourishing as a nation and selling that to Europe, well, you know what? We're doing a disservice to our Canadians because we could actually increase our GDP and we could actually decrease your income tax and you could keep more of your money. People are very concerned. The other thing that they're concerned about is, what's going to happen with our sovereignty after this election. People are not trusting Mark Carney, they don't trust Pierre Poilievre. Well, look at, our party is not going to form government, but I can rest assured, I say to my people, you know what? If I'm in the House of Commons, I will hold them accountable to what they've done to our Canadians. So that's why I'm here tonight, because I believe I can be that strong voice. I raised 3 kids for 4 years by myself under the age of 6.5. Mothers can do that. We can be resourceful, and we can fight for what is required. Thank you.
Darren.
You know, I knocked on several thousand doors since this campaign started, and although the good people of Dartmouth, Cole Harbour, Eastern Passage, and Cow Bay acknowledge a plethora of major issues that we are dealing with in our country, the number one thing that's coming up at the door is Donald Trump, and how do we manage Donald Trump, and who is best suited to manage Donald Trump? Which party leader is best suited to manage Donald Trump? And what I'm hearing at the doors is that leader is Mark Carney, quite possibly the most prepared person ever to run for this role. I have been an advocate for 9.5 years in Ottawa for the people of my community. I've been very successful advocating on behalf of the people of my community. Record investment in Dartmouth Cole Harbour, which I will do the exact same things that I do in Ottawa for the people of Eastern Passage and Cow Bay that I did for the people of Dartmouth Cole Harbour for the last 9 years. Record investment in housing, affordable housing, recreation facilities. You know, you can take a stroll down Dartmouth North and you can see truly affordable housing. You can look off of Mount Hope and see truly affordable housing. It's starting. It's really starting. The efforts and the investments that have been made are starting to pay off, and we're starting to see them bear fruit. I believe our party is the best. I believe our leader is the best suited to deal with these issues, and certainly the best suited to deal with Donald Trump. Again, acknowledging that the people of Dartmouth, Cole Harbour, Eastern Passage, and Cow Bay know that these other issues are very, very important issues. Issues of sovereignty, issues of trade, issues of cost of living, issues of housing. Those are things that Mr. Carney and the Liberal Party of Canada can and will tackle.
Thank you. The next question is going to be on cost of living. It was the number one issue that was raised in the poll that we ran. And so we have chosen to focus on 3 areas around cost of living. The first one is cost of food. The second one is the carbon tax. And the third one is housing. So those are the 3 areas that we're going to include in this cost of living. So the first one I wanted to talk to the candidates about is the cost of food. As you may be aware, we ran a story in January on the Canada Food Price Report that said that there would be an increase of $800 per family this year in Nova Scotia. Nationally, in the cost of food. And that was before Trump and Trump tariffs or anything else. And that Nova Scotia was going to be above the cost of the national average. We would have the highest cost of food in Canada. Also, 12 Canadian food bank associations, including Feed Nova Scotia, have sent a letter to the parties asking for them to make food insecurity in Canada a big issue in their platform, and asking for details on how to reduce food insecurity in this country by 50% by 2030. And they had a lot of things to say, but 2 things I thought might be of interest to give you some context and to frame this is that over 2 million people visited food banks in Canada in March. In 2024, nearly 30% of food banks ran out of food. So those are a couple of stats. And so the question is, what measures will your party and you take to combat rising food prices and resulting lines at food banks here in Nova Scotia?
Order for this question, we'll start with Ms. Zaman and then Ms. Lindsay and on to the right and wrapping around.
Okay. So the first step I would take if elected is, and I had put this in my heart many, many years ago, is as an MP, I would take portion of my salary and put it into the community. And I would start a community fund so that immediately people who need to have their rent paid or groceries or baby formula have funds. I would invite different businesses to contribute to it and run with it, and until I can fight for the policies that are needed to implement. These are things that cannot be done right away, but in time, when we work together with like-minded people, it can happen. For the actual policies that the Green Party has put forward, you can go and see on the websites, but one thing is a basic income. We need to bring everybody up at the same level. At $40,000 is the income, and then there's no federal tax on that. So we're trying to put more money back into the Canadians that they can use to buy basic items. There are other things that we're doing that are going to bring down the cost of living. We want to put in free tuition for our children in order not to burden the parents and to help them get a better education. The whole idea is putting money back into Canadians, but why can't we have a system set up where our pharmacare is paid properly so our seniors are not suffering? At the end of the day, there is enough money and resources in Canada. We are resource rich. And if we have a health care that we were able to implement and this country hasn't fallen apart, why can't we not implement our pharmacare, our free education, and programs that uplift each and every one of us and bring us to a level where we're not struggling day to day? So in 2 minutes, I cannot cover all the policies, but at the end of the day, you need a voice that is going to advocate for these changes and also speak up, which is something all my colleagues do not have the liberty to do when everyone goes back on their promises, and they have gone back on their promises because they are whipped into shape, because every party has a whip except the Green Party. We are allowed to speak to our conscience and to your voices and put forward your requirements and prioritize over corporations. 20% of corporates, 20% have more wealth than all of the rest of Canada.
Ms. Lindsay?
Thank you.
apologize.
It's okay.
I apologize.
So we do have a plan, and first of all, Rana, thank you for talking about the whip, because we don't have a whip either. We don't agree with whips, because that's undemocratic, actually. Okay, so we do have a plan. One of them is, yes, we're not going to have a carbon pricing on our industry, because trucks coming here delivering food actually have carbon pricing on their diesel. So that's one thing that needs to be eliminated. The other thing that needs to be eliminated is the supply management cartel. And when Maxime Bernier was the vice president of the Montreal Economic Institute, he, with a lot of economic researchers and financial researchers, realized that the policy of removing supply management cartel would be the best for Canadians. It would reduce the price of dairy, poultry, and eggs. And you see the prices now, $5.99 for a dozen of eggs. Can you imagine if they were $2? That would be amazing. And there are farmers that really want to remove the cartel right now, because they know that every time they want to milk a cow, that costs $30,000 just to have that, to buy that quota, instead of buying new technology that will improve their farms. So this is one way we can really reduce the cost of food. The other thing is, if we actually got to keep more of our money, because we actually were using our natural resources, and each province actually gets royalties from the natural resources, we could have people with a living wage keeping more of their money and being able to raise their families independently of the control of government. Thank you.
Mr. Fisher?
Some of the things that we have done to alleviate the cost of living, the high cost of food, the cost of all the things that we need, are by bringing in programs that would ease those costs. We brought in $10 a day daycare. That eases a small family with 2 kids somewhere around $900 a month. I chatted with a woman at the door who said that this allows her to pay her mortgage and buy her groceries. We brought in the school food program that was opposed by the Conservatives, and it's now in play. and it saves the average family around $850. One of the first things that Mr. Carney said he was going to do, because of probably that report that you cited, was a middle-class tax cut that will reduce the average middle-class family, their costs in taxes, by $850. Think about the Canada Child Benefit that, under the Conservatives, was somewhere around $70 a month for every family, and it was taxed back. And now, that Canada Child Benefit is tax-free, and it's helping families based on income. It's helping families with the priorities that they have. We also brought in dental care. I've talked to seniors who have gone several years without a visit to the dentist because they couldn't afford it, and now seniors are able to go. And very soon, 18 to 65 will be added, and those Canadians under a certain tax bracket, income level, will be able to go get dental care. These are all policies that have helped ease some of the affordability issues that we acknowledge are out there.
Thank you. Mr. Morrison?
Thank you. This, it's a double-edged sword. Prices are going up at grocery stores, and we have less money in our pocket at the end of the month. There have been a few things that have come up in our own announcements and platforms. Firstly, taking sales tax off things like diapers, heating, grocery bills, grocery items, kids' clothing, phone and internet, anything to keep extra money in your pocket to begin with. We need more transparency and price margins. This is a time when our big supermarket chains are also bragging about record profits. So we need to see what that markup is and how we can keep that from being gouged, or keep us from being gouged. There's a lot to do with incentivizing Canadians, Canadian manufacturers, farmers, agricultural folks to produce and to incentivize our folks to buy Canadian. Food bank use is at an all-time high. 1989 was the first year, I believe, they tracked it this way, and it's never been higher. We are also, as Gail mentioned, running out of food. And there's a story I heard recently that there was a lady who donated for 35 years to a food bank, and she can't afford to donate anymore. So that's showing, I guess, their supply situation. We need to, as best we can as a government, encourage people to keep their dollars close to home. Tariffs are only going to drive up prices. And we do have luxury in a sense of a system of cooperatives that are direct farm to table or local farmers who don't have the markups. So regarding food, that's where we're at. Was this also carbon taxing as well, or is that later? Next question. All right, that's all I got on food, yeah, thanks.
Great, thank you. Perfect segue. Carbon tax, which is actually close to my heart as a small tour operator. I'm constantly using gas every day. So the carbon tax was removed April 1st, and people lined up at the pumps for cheaper fuel. What guarantee is there that your party will not bring back this tax?
Order for this question will start with Ms. Lindsay, then go to Mr. Fisher and wrap around.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a rebuttal, though. I think we're in this mess, this affordability mess, because we printed too much money. And we didn't increase our GDP. So, I hold the Liberals responsible for this. And no one's really talking about this, but you know what? Why are we in an affordability crisis right now? So just think about that. Yes, and we will not bring out the carbon tax. That is anti-industry. And we need our industry to flow from east to west, north to south. And I'm not going to, where our party is against the carbon tax, but we are for a clean environment. But the carbon tax, when it was actually introduced in British Columbia before Justin Trudeau invoked it, actually didn't do anything for the BC environment. Their carbon emissions were going up. So it really wasn't a good model to undertake. And so I am against it, and our party is against it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher.
The price on pollution, which was very quickly labeled the carbon tax by the Conservatives, was a policy that was divisive. It was not bringing people together. It had to go. Mr. Carney, the moment he became Prime Minister, made that decision, and did that immediately. There is one more carbon rebate that folks would have seen in their bank accounts the first few days of April. That has now been done. The consumer tax portion of a price on pollution is dead. There's no chance that it's going to be brought back by a re-elected Liberal government. I do have to say, though, that we will need to take care of our environment. You know, it was only a few years ago, 10,000 people paraded through Halifax screaming for environmental protection. 10,000 people. We must not forget about climate change. We must not forget about taking care of this earth for our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and their grandchildren. We will have to make sure we come up with ways of reducing emissions. A lot of that is going to be done on a balanced scale. You're going to see your fossil fuels, you're going to see your renewables become cheaper. You're going to see, how many times do you walk by your neighbors and see a new person in the neighborhood with solar panels, or somebody getting off oil and going on electric, or somebody driving an electric car down the street? 3-4 years ago in Cow Bay Eastern Passage, you probably didn't see an electric car. And now you see them every 7, 8, 9 cars. 12 to 13% of the population is starting to buy electric cars. I'm not saying that's the answer for everybody. It's certainly not the answer. It's probably not the answer for you. It's not even the answer for me at this very moment. But we will need to make sure that we focus on the environment in the future to take care of this world.
Thank you. Mr. Morrison?
Yeah, thank you. Carbon tax. Well, the whole reason the carbon tax came around is for years of not listening to folks who were concerned with the environment in the first place, who've been saying this stuff since the 70s. We have to address this. We have to go green. We have to invest in electric. We have to develop electric. That's where we were. What bothered me to some extent was how quickly those who defended the carbon tax for many years were quick to flip-flop and suddenly say it was a terrible idea. What our issue is right now is we still have big polluters who are paying something like 1/20th per ton less than we pay when it comes to carbon emissions. We need to rethink how we are developing green energy. The options are out there. We just have to find them and implement them. We need to incentivize folks to buy electric and for things like the postal workers. The Post Service was in the office yesterday, and they want to green their fleet. How can we help them do that? Keep down individual emissions across the board. And for those who are in industry, those who are running small business, to work with them to find good formulas. But we do, going forward, it is green energy where we have to invest our time. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Zaman?
There must be a disincentive on both individuals and corporations to use carbon-based energy and products which contribute to global warming. Incentives rewarding non-polluters and energy innovators are not enough. Not only are they less effective than deterrence, but incentives must come from the public purse. Pierre Poilievre says his party will use incentives, but their policy of tax cuts will deplete the public purse from which incentive must come. A combination of disincentives, which are taxes and incentives, must be used. In that way, we can take from the polluters to help pay the non-polluters and innovators. Our tax system has not changed since the 1960s. And for the Green Party, we have a simple goal that together, by eliminating the federal income tax as well, it's under $40,000, these policies will create. Simply put, we want to ensure working Canadians keep more of what they earn, strengthen local businesses, and revitalize communities, and help break the cycles of debt for those forced to spend more than they earn on basic necessities. Our taxes are meant to help continue the country and provide us basic services that enrich our daily lives. And that is why we put towards it, united, to improve those lives. Instead, they are enriching the few, and we, the average Canadian, is becoming poorer and poorer. Even our tax system is not working for us. Our taxes are enough to uplift every citizen, and yet why are we here today? because the taxes are not going where they're supposed to be going. You can call your taxes any given name, and giving out small amounts back as well, here you go, we've done this, we've done that. But if we are still not able to afford our groceries at the end of the day, then I'm sorry, the government is not giving back to us as Canadians if we are unable, like he said, a woman who's been giving for 30 years now, she herself needs to go to a food bank. So none of these policies or incentives to this day.
Time. Thank you.
Sorry. So the next issue we're going to talk about is housing, and I did get a message from someone who said, you know, I can't choose housing because I don't know what you mean. Is it because I want to say more affordable housing and more available housing? And I said, well, it's both of those things. And so this question is about both of those things. So it is no secret that affordable housing is at a premium in Canada, certainly in our area here. And what will you do to make housing more affordable and available? Because there is housing that's available but not affordable. And then there's no housing for other people. So those are the two aspects of the question.
Order for this question. We'll start with Mr. Fisher and then wrap around.
Thank you very much. You know, for too long, federal governments sat on the sidelines when it came to housing. Tenancy issues like rent control certainly fall within the provincial government's jurisdiction, but there is so much that a federal government can do. We stepped up when we got elected, and since becoming your MP, I've focused on delivering real affordable homes here in Dartmouth, Cole Harbour, and I would do the exact same in Eastern Passage, Cow Bay. When I talk about housing, I mean places where people can live with dignity. True North Crescent in Dartmouth North, rent geared towards income, housing that's already available and families are living there. Main Street Centre, very soon to open up, beautiful new building, will be housing seniors and people with disabilities. Go to Mount Hope Village off of Mount Hope, right on the circumferential before you get to the turn to go to Cow Bay Eastern Passage. Mount Hope Village, hundreds of families are living in there now in truly affordable units. And it's not just about new builds. We need to help people stay housed. We provide rent supplements. We repair public housing. We're taking unused federal buildings and we're turning them into homes. If you go downtown Dartmouth, you'll see Marine House. Remember, there was an old medical facility down at the bottom of corner of Portland Street and Ochterlony. Marine House is now being converted into housing. We also eliminated the GST on homes under $1 million for all first-time home buyers. These are good policies that will help. We see a lot of cranes right now building a lot of housing. You talked about all types of housing, the cycle of housing. We don't just need one or the other. We need the entire cycle of housing, and we're seeing that happen. And just closing off, this time last year we were 1% vacancy rate in HRM. We are now at 2%. And looking at guys like Chris Peters, they know that an increase of 1% in the vacancy rate is a massive increase.
Mr. Morrison.
Rent has doubled since 2015. The price of housing has gone up in general. One of the best parts of our announcements that I saw was, using the commitment to release surplus government land to build hundreds of thousands of homes. This land is already sitting there. It's not being used. I don't think we are too proud to look at places like France, Austria, Sweden, who have had the housing crises and solved them through things like public housing and public housing for everyone. We need a legitimate standard of what the word affordable means. Everyone, when you look at activists or you look at investment bankers and real estate bankers, 30% is affordable, 30% of your total income, and that's what we need to shoot for. In the meantime, with so many folks suffering, we need to help our cooperatives and our nonprofits. These folks are experts in the field. We need to work with our provincial and municipal governments. to strengthen our commitment, the government's commitment to the housing situation. And this is not just building new houses, but it's helping folks transition from one home to another, and of course helping those who are currently without a home. There is hope out there. And most importantly, doing all we can to ban things like rent evictions and get a rent control standard in as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Zaman?
I just want to say these 2 minutes, I have so much to say and get out because there's so much happening, but I apologize if I go over by a second or two, and I will try very hard. So the government has programs to fund the construction of affordable housing, but most of these programs still base the cost of units on the inflated housing market, and this makes no sense. Putting people before profits is what the Green Party's priority is, and as Keith has already mentioned, the importance of the 30% of the income that's coming in should not go more than that towards housing. We have a plan to stop this. Here are some of the things. Use covenants to make sure housing built with public money stays affordable forever. Close loopholes to stop criminals from using real estate to hide dirty money. Eliminate the unfair tax advantages for real estate investment trusts such as REITs. Stop corporations from buying up single-family homes. For me, because I work at the grassroots level, people share things. I believe in working across the lines between municipal, provincial. Right now, I had heard a story a few years ago where a lady who's homeless goes into shelter. They paid $10,000 to house her for that month because she was moved shelter to shelter to shelter while they had affordable empty units, government housing that they were not putting up people. These kinds of things, wastage, is something that we have to look into and find out why these things are happening. When a $10,000 is being spent on per person to take them from shelter to shelter, there's a lot of lack of transparency and accountability and a lot of waste of our money. And we can talk about numbers and percentages, but at the end of the day, we need clarity and the money needs to go where the people need it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lindsay?
There are so many factors that are involved with the affordability crisis, and you have the Liberals who actually didn't make a check on how many people they were bringing into our country that would actually put pressure on the housing system. You have to build before you actually invite people in, and we're actually doing a disservice to not just Canadians, but new people that come in expecting proper services. And so then you've got the construction industry now, because of COVID and the printing of money, supplies are much higher. I was talking to the construction industry and they said, we'd like to build more affordable housing, less expensive, not cheaper. We want good housing, but we want less expensive. And they're in a conundrum because they have a lot of red tape that they have to go through in order to build. So it's taking a long time, but it's also, we're seeing the pressure from many people needing to have a house. And we've seen the tent cities increasing in the number of people, and that was, of course, rent evictions. And some people are working and they're living in a tent because they can't afford with the salaries that they're paid, they can't really afford to live in a $2,100 one-bedroom home or apartment. So yeah, these are big issues, but there's a lot of pressure. It's called supply and demand. I'm sure everyone has heard that model of the economic model. And we have to look at where's the pressure coming from, alleviate the pressure, and help the construction industry build. And yes, I believe there should be more affordable housing, which is between 15% to 30% less than the average house or unit. And we have to start helping the construction industry build. And one of the things our party wants to do is take down those interprovincial trade barriers so trade workers can build across Canada and not be hindered by their trade associations. Thank you.
Mr. Fisher?
Thank you. So on next topic is sovereignty. So in the recent poll, residents indicated Canadian sovereignty as the second most important issue facing Canada this election. Do you think the United States is a threat to Canada's sovereignty? And what measures will your party take to protect Canadian sovereignty?
For this question, we'll start with Mr. Morrison and go to the right.
A threat or not, it's certainly a wake-up call. Our party is already invested in increasing the spending for D&D, first off, to at least 2% of our GDP, which is NATO's recommendation. As far as military is concerned, to increase our recruitment and our retention, and to really look at universality of service. I was a Navy clerk. I could still be working as a clerk, but unfortunately, due to universality of service, which is already being reviewed, but we'll push for it to be reviewed again. Our place in the world is in question right now. As far as Canadian sovereignty, what we need to do is to shore up things at home in the case of the absolute worst. We need to take care of each other and get everything settled there. I apologize, folks. I have a back issue that's really causing some problems right now, so I'll just leave it right there for now. Sorry.
Thank you. Ms. Zaman?
So we need a strong, independent Canada. There's an actual threat. Trump has at least proven to us that we are not really safe. We are at the whim of any madman that comes into power in the United States. Bottom line, plain and simple. And we have been too relaxed, too friendly, too good of a neighbor to people, and too trusting. And as a result, we are facing these new threats, and we are now, for the first time in I don't know how long, actually fearing our safety. So Canada must defend itself and promote peace. We need modern defense strategies for today's challenges. This includes protecting the Arctic, stopping cyber attacks, and building national resilience to disasters. The Green Party will ensure Canada can protect itself by standing up for human rights around the world. We're going to be building real security. We need to be able to protect Canadians and support our allies. And here are some of the points. The Green Party is going to strengthen Arctic and coastal security with more patrols and better equipment. We are going to build stronger cyber defenses to protect Canadians. We're going to provide our armed forces with specifics to increase their capabilities and they need for today's threats, create a national civil defense corps to strengthen the resilience and sovereignty of Canada and stop selling weapons to countries that abuse international human rights laws. And at the end of the day, we need to protect ourselves and we need to stand together. We need to delineate all the different divisions that are created by our provinces and our government, and we need to unite as Canadians because only together will we be able to defend our freedom. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lindsay?
The 4 pillars of the People's Party of Canada is freedom, fairness, respect, and responsibility. Responsibility of government to protect us. And in the last 10 years, we should have had a government that was competent and not incompetent to actually help develop our nation and create an economy that was strong so that we could fight against hostile tariffs and other leaders. Now, we actually have $1.4 trillion in debt, and we're looking at developing our national defense system. And if we had had a strong economy, we would have actually been able to give 2% of our GDP to developing our national defense like we told NATO we would do. So we're in this issue right now of people are afraid, people are concerned about what's going on in the Middle East, what's going on in the Ukraine, and people are concerned about World War III, and we need to be a strong nation that is going to stand strong in our sovereignty. And yes, we need to make sure that we're peacekeepers, but we also develop our own defense systems. So we are going to increase that expenditure, 2% of GDP to NATO, so that we can be a sovereign and autonomous nation and a strong nation, because one of the responsibilities of the federal government is national security. and that is protecting our borders and protecting our people. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fisher?
Thank you very much. You know, since we brought up the military, I wanted to just take a second to thank Keith for his service to our country. You know, it's hard to imagine a better neighbor than Canadians, a better neighbor than this country of Canada to the United States. We have tied our supply chain, we've tied our military procurement to the United States. Can't remember which one of my esteemed colleagues here tonight said that we just relied so much on the United States to protect us, to take care of us. We can't do that anymore. Donald Trump has changed the relationship. We have minerals, we have steel, we have aluminum, we have water, we have fossil fuels, we have our forests. He says we have nothing that they need. He desperately wants Canada to be the 51st state. That can never happen. We are a sovereign nation. We will never allow that to happen. We must take our resources and manufacture or process them here in Canada. We must create jobs for Canadians. No longer are we taking a truckload of potash and taking it down across the border and selling it to the states so they can process it. That needs to be done here. We need to find new trading partners that we can rely on that will treat us better and show the level of respect that Canada deserves. We will do that. The Minister Blair, one of the first things that he said he was going to do was review the F-35 contract. We have we've strived to be interoperable because of NATO and NORAD with our American friends. We can no longer rely solely on them. We must protect ourselves. That includes the Arctic and the North. It is a sovereign part of Canada, and we absolutely must be strong on this and do things for ourselves and find new partners that we can work with every day.
Time, thank you.
So you've covered a couple of my other questions, but because I had a question here about funding the military, so we've kind of covered that, and about protecting the North in particular, and patrolling the borders. But one thing you didn't cover is, what is your government going to do to support its veterans? This was something that came up as an issue specific to our area here in the poll, in that several people mentioned that they wanted to hear about that. So if you could address that.
And for this question, we'll start with Ms. Zaman and proceed to the right.
To support the veterans, first of all, it all comes down to bringing resources, using funding to supply for them programs that will address the issues that specifically affects them when they service overseas. Because we ask so much from our veterans when they go over to protect this country, to fight other people's battles under various, I'm going to say in some cases, pretenses, and as a result, they come back very traumatized. And some of them are suffering. And what do we do to help them? Do we give them the proper mental health care that they need? Do we help them with the housing? Do we help them with, unfortunately, sometimes addictions that arise from the stress and trauma that they have suffered? We do not. We have heard stories of veterans becoming homeless. It is a shame to our country and to us that those who serve to protect and serve and preserve the quality of life in our democracy are the ones who are then basically kicked to the curb. So our policies, all of them that are meant to uplift veterans, there are also mental health resources that are going to be put forward which fall under health care. And that will uplift the veterans specifically and target those programs that they are needing that they are not getting at this point. At the end of the day, we should be uplifting and supporting one another, identifying the places where we're lacking, which veterans have been pointing out loud and clear, and no one has been listening. If you're asking this question still today, it's because you are not getting the services and the respect that you deserve. Thank you.
Ms. Lindsay?
Yeah, we actually have a policy for veterans because if we don't take care of our veterans, no one is going to take care of us in terms of national security. And do you remember that time when Justin Trudeau was asked by a veteran who had lost his leg, who had been fighting with the Veterans Affairs to receive money for his disability? Justin Trudeau said, there just isn't enough money for you. You're asking for too much. How can you say that to a veteran who's protected all of us, who fought for us, whose country told him to fight for freedoms and for us? We just can't have that anymore. So we have a policy that will actually provide those veterans who have come back, are disabled, or they passed away because they served our great country. We will provide a full pension to those veterans. Before April 1st, 2006, every veteran was receiving a full pension. And then after April 1st, 2006, veterans were just receiving a lump sum that was not enough for them to sustain their lives. So we've decided that we are going to go back pre-2006, and we will do retroactive payments for those veterans, and we will ensure that all veterans are protected under the Pension Act, that they will receive disability and pension funds to sustain their lives. And it's embarrassing, actually, to refuse veterans who have served this country. And, you know, we've even seen in the paper where veterans were asking for a ramp, and then someone offered them MAID, medical assistance in dying. How can we turn our backs on our veterans?
Time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Fisher.
You know, I have such respect for those women and men who've served our country, whether they're in uniform now or whether they've transitioned into veterans. I'm a member of the Centennial Legion. I'm a member of the Army, Navy, Air Force, and I regularly attend Psalm Branch in downtown Dartmouth. I look forward to joining a club in Eastern Passage, Cow Bay, and spending as much time as I can hearing from veterans, hearing about their PTSD and whether they're getting the proper service from Veterans Affairs. I talk to many, 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 many veterans about so many issues that are so important to them. Many of our veterans are very well taken care of, and many fall through the cracks. Some of them aren't able to advocate for themselves. We've got incredible groups like Vets Canada. Vets Canada has 1,200 volunteers across the country, not only helping veterans go through the process of getting help, helping them, advocating on their behalf. It's these amazing volunteers who are working directly with Veterans Affairs Canada to help these folks. I had a chance to go out to BC to the Invictus Games. In fact, I'm wearing my Invictus Games shirt tonight because this means so much to me, and had a chance to see 550 disabled veterans from 65 countries performing in an Olympic-style event. It was one of the most moving things I've ever seen. It's difficult when people fall through the cracks. It's difficult when people need help and don't know how to advocate for themselves. I've taken on so many individual cases of people that need help, and we've been very, very successful in our office of navigating that system for those folks. We will always, always make every effort we possibly can to connect beloved veterans with the services that they deserve, the services that they fought for their country for.
I'm good now. It happens. For the last question, just take the best bits of each of theirs, and that'll be mine. No, folks, I am an injured veteran. What you just witnessed is what happens as a result of an injury when you fall, and I was just training in Quebec. It was slipping on ice. You want to know how to help a veteran? Ask a veteran. Yeah. It is up to our government to reach out. to do check-ins. And the biggest failure, we can talk about all the different things that are out there, but the biggest failure for our veterans, and I'm telling you firsthand, is lack of staff at the administrative level. There are people waiting 6, 7, 8 months for a little bit of help and a little bit of guidance because there's not enough people to answer phones, to answer emails, to go through the website. The best way to help grow Veterans Affairs is a legitimately widespread public service recruitment. In 2004, there was one. I applied. I wrote the test. I passed the test. They called me in 2009 and said, "We got a job for you." My life had moved on by then. So yeah, recruiting public service for veterans. There's no one size fits all. I've been helping vets since I was in. I still help with paperwork. It's convoluted, it's difficult. It's places like the Legion, and it's places like different Veterans Canada organizations that really make the difference for these folks. We have to make sure every veteran knows the services that are out, that are available to them. From the time I get in to the time I get out, communication got a heck of a lot better, and I think we can still do them better. When I talk about veterans, it's not a foreign idea. It's not those people out there. I'm talking about my friends, my family, my coworkers, and my neighbors. Veterans will always have a direct line to me, whether I am elected here or just Keith from down the street. It's the least I can do, and it's the least any of us can do for our vets. And veterans, this is not a political issue. I think we all recognize the amazing sacrifices that our veterans, whether they are voting for any of us up here, I don't care. You have my gratitude, and it was an honor to serve among you, and bless you all.
Thank you very much. So the next area is healthcare. Many people think that healthcare is just a provincial issue. It's very much a federal issue as well. Wait time for elective surgeries such as hip and knee replacements are long. Recent stats note that more than 100,000 Nova Scotians, actually 100,001 myself included, are on the 100,002 and many more, are on the doctor wait list. What will you do to lobby Ottawa for more improved healthcare system, keeping those programs that have already been brought forward, such as dental and some pharmacare? And what will your party do to transform the healthcare system to, does your party plan to transform the healthcare system to a more user-pay program or something else?
For this question, we'll start with Ms. Lindsay and go to the right.
Thank you. This is a topic that's true to my heart. I train, actually, seniors who've just had hip and knee replacements, and some of them are waiting for over a year. And I do communicate with doctors who actually have come here as skilled workers, and then they're refused to work in the healthcare department. So, you know, instead of, what happens is people think that, oh, someone from Kuwait, you know, practicing for 21 years is probably not up to Canadian standards. So we're going to ask you to go back into medical school for 2 years at about $140,000 investment, and people just end up giving up. Some are riding taxis, some are working on a farm, and you know, that's a disservice to Canadians. So when you have skilled workers coming in, we have to actually develop a program to fast track them. And this is one of the things that I saw when I was in the dental implant device field. And there were dentists who were practicing for 15 years. They actually knew what they were doing, but they had to go back to dental school. So what I'm suggesting is a fast-track program where you actually have doctors coming in, job shadowing the surgeons, and then actually working with the College of Physicians to actually get that proper certification. And we can do that. We have people that are well qualified that need to be working now in our healthcare system. And the other thing is we can take down those interprovincial trade barriers, and we can have doctors who are working in British Columbia coming to Nova Scotia and filling those jobs. There are a lot of doctors who would like to come here, but you know, it would take them $10,000. They have to stop practicing. They have to study to recertify. And so if we can take those interprovincial trade barriers down and we can actually fast track newcoming physicians, then we can actually fill that healthcare void. Thank you.
For probably over 100 years, the federal government really just did one thing when it came to healthcare. They wrote a check for the healthcare transfer and sent them off to provinces, usually based on per capita, and then they kept their feet out of the healthcare situation. It was way easier, plus the provinces had all of the jurisdiction for healthcare. Our government, several years ago, went to the provinces and said we would like to have a bit of say in how the healthcare transfers are spent. As you can imagine, there was major uproar from the provinces telling us that we had no business in healthcare. So what we did was we took a separate stream of money. We started with mental health. And we went to the provinces and we've said we've got this basket of funds that you can have if you spend it on mental health care, an additional stream. There are going to be some strings attached to that money. You must come back to us and tell us how that money was spent. They basically all said no, and we said, okay, you're not going to get the money, and then miraculously, the provinces all said, okay, we'll take it. The first stream, I would say, wasn't as successful as I had hoped. We weren't able to get the data back that the provinces actually spent that money on mental health care. We've since come forward with other streams of funds for other healthcare related things and said to the provinces the same thing. The next time it was much more successful, we strengthened those strings, those attached strings, to ensure that the money was actually spent. We also increased the amount of money that the provinces got. Nova Scotia got somewhere around $150 extra million over several years to help improve their healthcare program. You'll know that in the provincial government, the provincial election of 2021, that entire election was a healthcare election, and that money has come through to help the local provincial government make some strides in healthcare. Thank you.
Mr. Morrison.
This has been something of a slippery slope for many years, where our healthcare seems to be getting progressively worse and worse and worse. I remember in 1992, a bunch of doctors were offered really good paying contracts in Indiana, and they didn't want to go, but the money was too good. So we need, one, to retain who's here. Is it payment? Is it work hours? Is it respect? What do they need to stay here? We have to have open lines of communication. Now, a lot of this is administered at the provincial level, but the federal government, of course, has a role. This might be a first, but the NDP and the PPC are very close on this one about pan-Canadian licensure. We have lots of folks here who are already qualified to be doctors, and it's small administrative things keeping them, maybe a course, maybe two. What can we do to invest in those folks to get them to where they need to be? I can think of 3 folks right off the top of my head who are trained doctors. Today there was an announcement made by the party. 25,000 nurses are going to be hired, which also means there's going to be an investment in training them. For me, I will advocate for a significant portion of them to be nurse practitioners who can do almost everything a doctor can. Throughout my military career, I had the fortune of being with a nurse practitioner, being treated by a nurse practitioner who was everything a doctor was to me, plus had a little bit more time. To eliminate the administrative burdens that are put on doctors is another thing we have looked at. But what we have to do is, Canada's is a difficult country. What is the problems in Nova Scotia? How are they different, and how are they same from Ontario and other provinces as well? The last one, user pay, not on my watch. Canada, this is, it's a basic tenet of, Tommy Douglas's dream that we have universal health care. And
thank you.
oh, I had more. Can I have the 20 seconds from before when I got hurt? No, I'm kidding.
Ms. Zaman?
So our universal health care is something that we as Canadians are very proud of, but millions of people are without doctors and going through illness and injury every day. The Green Party is going to strengthen the health care by providing stable, long-term funding to provinces and territories, train and hire more healthcare workers to improve access cut wait times, expand home care and community care, ensure access to reproductive care across Canada, invest in public health care instead of allowing for-profit corporations to deliver more services. Our goal is simple: a well-funded universal health care system that puts people first and not profits. By expanding what Medicare covers, healthcare should cover more than hospitals and doctors' visits. We'll make medicines free for everyone through universal pharmacare. We'll provide dental care for more Canadians who can't afford it, and we'll cover mental health care so everyone can get the help they need. Mental health care must be available everywhere. And in our communities, schools, and prisons, when people get mental health care support early, we prevent bigger problems later. My husband is a physician, and I can tell you firsthand the problems that are in the healthcare system. They are not getting the resources, they're not getting the people, the wait times are increasing, and people are literally dying while they're waiting. That is the crisis we're in. I had to wait personally over 2 years to get a special examination. I don't want to share all that, but 2 years to find out what was happening with me internally, and anything could have happened. Being on the ground level, knowing what is happening, does not alleviate, but being able to bring our voices forward and fight for it and say it loud and clear, this is happening. There are doctors who are driving taxi. And like Keith said, it's because of minor things. We are not putting the resources towards our health that we can easily do so because we have those resources. So it is key. In order to have a healthy society, our health care has to improve. And as I said, we've proven that it doesn't break the system. We just need to put the money that's going in pockets.
All right, so we have 2 more question areas left, and then we'll have time for mingling. And this one's tariffs. I have to say that in January, tariff was the #1 word Googled in Google search engines. And people didn't know what it means, but I think we certainly have a better idea since January what that's all about. Here in Nova Scotia, there's the tariffs on seafood is a big issue for our fishers, and when I spoke with the Rock Lobster Association, we talked a little bit about that. And so our question here is, where are we vulnerable to tariffs in this area, and where do we have strengths? And what experience do you folks have negotiating new markets for local goods, both internationally and interprovincially?
For this question, we'll start with Mr. Fisher, then go to Mr. Morrison, and on to the right.
What an interesting question. Tariffs. So I think the first thing that Donald Trump said that he was going to do was launch tariffs. He called it a beautiful word. It was going to make America great again. What it did was destroy the global economy, essentially, and the unpredictability of the on-again, off-again, one day on, one day off tariffs put a panic into countries around the world, put a panic into workers and businesses around the world, only to feel a reprieve and a breath of maybe they won't do it to us the next day. And then a week later, another batch of tariffs threatened by President Trump. Again, sending the markets into disarray, putting mental health strains on businesses and workers. Every dollar from retaliatory tariffs will go back to workers and businesses in Canada. Some people say, why do you do retaliatory tariffs? Do you just let a bully you? Do you not stand up for yourself? You must stand up for yourself. It's one of the only things that we have to fight back. If they say that we have nothing that they need, prove it. Prove it. Prove that we have nothing that they need. I read off a list earlier of all the things that we have that they need: our forests, our fossil fuels, our steel, our aluminum, our rare minerals. The United States wants what we have here in Canada. We talked about this as a sovereignty issue. We must fight back against the President of the United States through retaliatory tariffs. As frustrating as they may be, there will be a... Sorry.
Mr. Morris. Oh, sorry, yeah, people are hurting already. And, Trump decided not just to hit us, he hit everyone globally, including 2 islands that are inhabited by penguins, and that is not a joke, that is legitimate. So folks are already suffering. People are already feeling the pinch. Our auto manufacturers in Southern Ontario are really taking a hit already. There are folks planning on, if things don't change soon, folding up the tent. I remember in '87 when Mulroney and Bush signed the first free trade agreement. I remember the older folks around the table saying, this is the beginning of the end for us. They're going to take our money. And we're almost now back at a time where we have to look at John A. Macdonald's national policy, which is build Canadian, buy Canadian, and tariffs are for anything that comes or goes over the borders. We didn't want it. Nobody wanted it except a few folks down in Washington, D.C. Dollar for dollar, retaliatory tariffs, it's definitely not a great solution, but it's the best we have right now. With that money, helping those most significantly affected, like the fishers in Nova Scotia, the auto workers in Southern Ontario. It's also had our party has looked at much needed EI reform. That can be assisted by these retaliatory tariffs as well. If it's cutting critical minerals that Mr. Musk needs to build his stuff, so be it. This might be where we're at. The tricky part of this is long-term. We don't know what the United States is going to do day to day. It's made this election very difficult for us. Really not the unpredictability, the lack of logic that is coming from then. So it's best right now we shore up ourselves at home. We take care of one another and put up a united front against a bully that's not making any sense right now. And thank you.
Ms. Zaman?
So Canada's economic independence has never been more important. A green government will create strategic reserves of Canadian resources through crown corporations, process resources domestically, and invest in Canada's clean energy future with a national electric power grid and clean power projects, all of which will create thousands of high-quality jobs. At least what Mr. Trump did is bring us together. It brought us together and prioritized in our hearts the importance of supporting local. We should have been supporting local businesses long ago, because what has happened, the advantage that big corporations, by underselling, undermining, here are some of the things they are. There are reports that some grocery chains are raising prices on Canadian maple-made goods, and this is a pure opportunism and is part of the syndrome of shoveling money at the already rich, and some are using surging Canadian pride to make some extra bucks. So because of the recent attacks on the economy and sovereignty by Trump, this has resulted, as I said, in strong Canadian nationalism and pride, but it has shown us that we can exist without others. We can support within, we can survive within. And a tit for tat, sometimes it's needed, because we need to show others our strength and our solidarity and our determination to our sovereignty. And it's so important to start with the farmers who provide the food. Now more than ever, you know how important it is to have sources that will protect and serve you and provide the basic needs, because if anyone tries to cut you off, like it was done to Cuba, it's not so far-fetched. But they became independent, they became strong, and we are already stronger because we are Canadians and we are united in our effort to stay a sovereign nation. Thank you.
Rana, you're correct. We were divided and now we're united as patriots, patriotic Canadians. And you know what happened in the last 10 years did not do us service. We did not work on our economy. We did not strengthen our natural resource development. We did not strengthen our ties with other nations. When we were asked by the German Chancellor and the Japanese Prime Minister to sell our clean liquid natural gas to them for at least $90 billion, what did the Liberal government say? Wasn't a good business model. It sure as heck is a good business model, because it would strengthen our position on the global stage. And Darren, when you talk about developing our natural resources, why did you put in C69 and C48, which is an anti-pipeline development bill and anti-resource development? You need to question the Liberal government on this. We do need to develop the natural resources. We need to improve our economy. We need to make it easier for our people in Canada, and we need to be that mighty, mighty state, that nation on the world stage. Thank you.
Thank you. So the last issue we'll discuss, a bit more local here with regards to Heartland Point. What do you do to ensure that the land-based testing facility being built on a portion of D&D owned land at Heartland Point in Eastern Passage has a minimal impact on our local environment, such as our flora and fauna, coastline erosion, our roads, and our local fishing grounds?
And our order for this question, we'll start with Mr. Morrison and on to the right.
I first became aware of the Heartland Point situation as it regards to traffic and I believe 18-foot long, a wide road with no sidewalks that dump trucks were flying up and down fairly regularly. Heartland Point, the good news, there's going to be some jobs there, and it's going to be a state-of-the-art training facility for the river-class destroyers that are coming. Unfortunately, that came at the expense of environment, the very wonderful ecosystem that is down there, and some transparency. A lot of folks in the community felt as if they weren't informed by D&D and the federal government exactly what was going to be happening there. You know, there's rare birds, fish that are all going to be affected by radio towers that folks are still not sure what effect that's going to even have on the floral, or the fauna, sorry. Going forward, first off, Environment Canada, Departments of Fisheries need to be involved in this as well. We are very close to the ocean. As soon as it touches the water, it can be a DFO issue as well. What I hope most of all is that we can use Heartland Point as an example going forward to show us that, to demonstrate that there is a need for transparency and community input in all projects like this, that we have unique areas of environment and ecological importance. This is a spot that's very important to birds when they migrate. And it's very important that so many factors are considered before we take out the shovels. There's going to need to be a secondary road, and I don't know where they're going to be able to put it. So yeah, you can be anti what happened at Heartland Point without being anti D&D. Thank you.
Ms. Zaman?
So I'm going to add to what Keith is saying. Being a Green Party, we are very much focused on the environment and the effects that it has on nature, but we also believe in working with Indigenous people who have been part and process of protecting the environment, and to work with the people who are committed to preserving the life. The flora and fauna, as Keith has mentioned, it is all an integral part of the ecosystem. And when anything that imbalances the ecosystem, we already have seen the examples of fires and floods that are taking place here already. There are lives that have been lost, and it is destroying Canadian communities. And this is one area that you are passionate about, but for me, I am passionate about every single person in this area that gets affected. And the idea is that we need to work together to improve the environment and the policies that are needed and the resources, the money that's going to be needed to improve the quality of life that we have here, but to protect the future of our children and have an environment that they can breathe and live in safely. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lindsay?
Okay, so I spoke to one of my naval advisors, and I wrote something for this because, you know, I needed to research what the Heartland Point testing facility was, and it's a newly constructed facility that will support the testing and integration of updated sensors, radars, for the new River-class destroyers replacing our Halifax-class frigates, hence national security. The Royal Canadian Navy and military in general has always been at the top tier of abiding for environmental regulations and in support of wildlife. On the West Coast, marine mammal mitigation procedures are part of the military's peacetime safety protocols for use of sonar, speed restrictions, and are in place within the Gulf Islands to avoid disturbance of shoreline. Numerous other environmental programs have put restrictions on the behavior of our peacetime military. This is no different. The actual use of radars and radio waves over an arc that stretches across the ocean, well, I'm not going to get into that, but the DND did for its part is treating environment and wildlife at Heartland Point as a top priority. Early in March in 2023, the department released the results of 4 third-party environmental studies led by unbiased experts. They concluded that the future CFB Halifax site's residual effects were not significant and could be satisfied with mitigation efforts. Thank you.
Keith mentioned the River-class destroyers for our Royal Canadian Navy. This is a generational investment that means thousands of jobs here at HRM and big opportunities in the maritime defense sector. And the women and men of the Royal Canadian Navy who will serve aboard these new ships deserve the best. The right equipment, the right training, and the right support to do their job safely and effectively. These new destroyers will help us maintain the sovereignty that we've talked about tonight. They'll keep us safe at home, and they'll meet our international commitments. Now, a key part of this project is a land-based testing facility which will test and integrate the ship's advanced systems, the radar, the communications, electronics, before they ever go to sea. That means the systems are fully operational, reliable, and safe for our crews from day one. Now, I get that this DND property has been owned and used by DND throughout our lifetimes, but I also understand the community has serious concerns. People care about shoreline access, environmental protection, and preserving nearby fishing grounds. These concerns are valid and they matter. Now, I've not had the opportunity to represent Eastern Passage yet, but I am known for being a strong advocate, and I'm committed to making sure that you don't just feel heard, that you are heard. I will work to ensure open and clear communication between the community and CFB Halifax, making sure that questions are answered and concerns are respected. This project must not only work for our Navy, but it has to work for the people of Eastern Passage and Cow Bay. Thank you.
We're gonna go to closing remarks, and so we have Joseph Shea here from the Libertarian Party. So I don't know, Joseph, if you want to come up, introduce yourself, do a quick wrap up, and folks up here, we're going to give you 1 minute to do a quick wrap up so you have some time to talk to people. Sure. Or do you want me to call you Joe?
Yeah, hello, my name's Joseph Shea. I'm a retired military. I spent 23 years, retired in 2006 as the Senior Biomedical Electronics Tech when I was in Ottawa. My wife and I and the family, we decided in retirement, we moved to Cole Harbour and been here ever since. I spent about half my life here, broken up. My father was also military, worked in Halifax for quite a while. Yeah, about half my life here. And I think between myself and my kids, we've attended most of the schools. So, and it was kind of nice watching or going to Ocean View today and seeing that. It was really nice. Volunteering. I've been involved with minor league baseball. It's in the past now. Pre-COVID, I was with the Friends of McNabb's Island Society. Enjoyed it. I was a trails coordinator for about 3 or 4 years. Installed some of the benches on there, most of the benches, I guess. So if you're sitting there, I probably put it there. What else? Also with Chess, Nova Scotia also now. But since after retiring from the forces, I worked as a public servant fixing medical equipment all throughout the Atlantic provinces, but I retired back in 22. Libertarianism, yeah, that's, I don't know how much more time I have.
You got about another minute, I think.
Okay, so thank you. Libertarianism, I just want to touch on that because I believe after I tried looking at the history, I believe I'm the only libertarian that's ever read in the riding of Dartmouth, Cole Harbour, and now Eastern Passage. There's 2 of us running. The other gentleman is Michael Pittman. He's in Sydney for this election. Back in 2015, I believe, we ran 70 plus people under the Libertarian banner. It's something I believe in. In the last few years, I didn't know, I'm a centrist really. Maybe I lean a little bit left because of social programs dear to my heart. But I noticed I was getting stuck in the middle, and I've been watching the left and the right separate, and I had to find a home. And I truly believe in anti-war, even though I was in the military, I was in the medical branch. Anti-war, free trade, pro-market, and that's what the libertarians really go for. It's a non-aggression principle where everyone is free to choose the life that they want to lead, as long as it doesn't violate the rights of others by initiating fraud or force against them. So that's the basic principle that we strive for. So I'll cut it there. And if anyone is, okay, thank you.
All right, so closing remarks, and we're going to go in reverse order that we started. So, Rana, if you want to start, and we're just going to give you a minute because we do want to leave some time.
I like to say we are on the unceded, unsurrendered land of the Mi'kmaq people, and we are all treaty people, and that is what we should be focusing on, that we are united as a variety of people, and together we can work to preserve the values and the qualities of Canada. I am a proud Canadian, and I want to be a voice that is going to start a revolution in politics and put people's voices and not party voices into the legislature. Thank you.
Keith, you're next.
Thank everyone again for coming tonight, and thanks to everyone else who's running. For me, a lot of this election has been about fear, sadly. It seems like the first half we were scared of a conservative government, and now we are, many of us are equally scared of a Liberal majority. You have several folks up here who are other options beyond giving the keys to the kingdom to the Liberals for the next number of years. Please use your discretion and choose correctly, because the balance of power is going to affect who gets the balance of power in a minority government. Is going to make a lot of changes at this very pivotal time. For me, I'm a family man and a community man. That's where my fights are. That's who I serve. That's who I love. That's who I work for in all in every respect. So thank you all again for your time. It's very wonderful to sit here with everyone, knowing we're all at different political beliefs and coming from different perspectives. And we've really had 2 nice events together today, and I appreciate it very much. So take care. Thanks.
Michelle, you're up next.
Thank you. This is my 3rd election. The first election was in 2019, and I was sitting in debates where there were chuckles from the main parties, the Liberals and the Conservatives, when I talked about interprovincial trade barriers, needing to develop our natural resources and needing to check immigration numbers just so that, you know, we wouldn't have the pressure put on our healthcare and our housing. And now this is what we see. And, you know, when I go door to door, people are very concerned, and they really like what I have to say. I tell them that this is my third election. I'm not a frivolous ballot candidate. I'm here for the long term. I'm fighting for my kids' future because I have 3 children, and I see the problems with Canada, and I see what's happened in the last 10 years, and it's very shameful. You know, no transparency, government overreach, censorship, and mainstream media that actually seems to be paid by by our main parties, the Liberals. I don't think they're the Conservatives, but however, the Conservatives have been silent as well. And as you can see tonight, there is no Conservative candidate. Please vote Michelle Lindsay, People's Party of Canada. Thank you.
Folks, representing Dartmouth Cole Harbour has been the honor of my life. And I'm thrilled, as I said earlier, to welcome Calbay and Eastern Passage into this growing dynamic riding. This election comes at a dynamic, defining moment for our communities and for our country. Politicians like Pierre Poilievre and Donald Trump, they echo each other by saying that everything is broken. Canada's not broken. Canada is strong. We are a country that chooses progress over fear, unity over division, compassion over cruelty. That is just who we are. When challenges come, whether it's affordability, climate change, or threats to our sovereignty, we don't back down. We work together. We rise to meet them. We're not perfect, but we don't tear this country apart. We build it up. I'm asking for your vote so we can continue to build this up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the Beacon and Eastern Passage and Area Business Association, I want to thank you guys for attending tonight, all the candidates and everyone here tonight. We trust and hope you learned a bit more about the candidates running in our Dartmouth Cole Harbour riding. Big thank you for Reverend Halliwell for his volunteers for the facility and the setup tonight. And also grateful for Seaside FM for their promotion of the event. And all the, thank you for all the local community groups that were promoting this event as well. Special thank you to John for all his hard work here. It's a very good job, thank you. I want to invite you to approach your candidates, learn about a bit more if you want to do any one-on-one. And I really appreciate everyone being here tonight and actually being respectful. Lots of different points of views from across the area. But if nothing else, we can be respectful and polite. That's who we are as a community. So thank you very much.